This is a little bit embarrassing, but if you go onto the interwebs and you search for the terms B2B and TikTok, chances are you'll find a video of me stating quite definitively that if you're in B2B, TikTok is a big fat waste of your time. Now, I filmed that video about 3 years ago. Times have changed. Earlier on this year, I decided to give TikTok a second chance, and the results astounded me. So fairly quickly, I hunted down one of my favorite authorities in the TikTok space, Clementine Holman, and shot this recording. TikTok for B2B. Is it a thing? Well, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I would have said no. Indeed, there's a YouTube video that's had thousands of views with me saying, if you're in B2B, don't bother with TikTok. But that was filmed 3 years ago, and my views have changed significantly. Yes, I've done a complete 180. I've been playing on TikTok. I've been having a really good time on TikTok, and I've been getting some really good commercial results. One of the people that I've been following on TikTok is Clementine Holman, the founder of Honeybee Social. She is the queen bee, and she's been spending quite a bit of time on TikTok lately. And I've been watching her account not only get engagement and views, but also build her brand as a fellow B2B business owner. And I wanted to ask her, how do I blow up my B2B brand on TikTok? Clementine, how are you?
Hello. How are you, James?
I am well. It's so strange sitting here talking to you. We said this before I hit record, but I feel like I know you so well because I've spent so much time watching you on TikTok. Is that creepy that I've spent so much time watching you on TikTok?
No, maybe we'll just say that's the TikTok algorithm being creepy and knowing exactly what you want to see.
That's right. I want to hear brilliant sales and marketing advice from a brilliant person. Now, you run your own agency, Honeybee Social. And when did you start using TikTok for your own business?
I kind of had a bit of apprehensions about TikTok as well when I first started hearing about it. But, and it was about around the same time that you created that video going against TikTok. So about 3 years ago. And, I remember where I was sitting on my lounge, and I had one of my really good mates sitting next to me, and she's like, you have to check this TikTok app out. It's really just hilarious. And she shows me how it works. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And a TikTok came up with a guy who he's got a puppet of Donald Duck, and he does the Donald Duck voice really well. And he started singing Halo by Beyonce, and I found it so freaking funny. I watched it about 25 times in a row, and I went, that's it. I got to download this app, and the rest was history. So I started just scrolling and being really curious about what it was and seeing how entertaining. And then I started just looking around going, what else is out there on this big TikTok space, and realized that there was an education sector, there was a small business sector, and I decided to put myself out there and start trying out making TikTok videos, because they seemed to be a lot quicker and a lot easier than they were to make YouTube videos that could take me hours to do by myself.
Well, we had a YouTube channel for about 2 years, and we went, you know what, we're going to, video is the way of the future. Let's get big on video. So we created this YouTube channel, and our best videos would get 300, 400 views. Yeah. Now, it's really unusual for me to create a TikTok video and get less than 200, 300 views. Mm-hmm. And what's even also crazy is that when I create these TikTok videos, I syndicate them across to YouTube, and they become a YouTube short story. Is that what it is? Short. A story?
YouTube short.
And then they get like 2,000 or 3,000 views, completely outperforming all these other videos that I'd spent a whole bunch of time putting effort into. I don't know if you've seen this person, but my turnaround moment was I saw Miss Excel. Have you seen her?
Yeah, she's one of those Excel geniuses that knows how to do everything and anything on an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, and she just share one tip while doing a little bit of a dance or singing a song or something, and I'd go, and I went, that's brilliant. And I've since read up on her a bit, and she's done very well commercially as well. So let's talk about how to blow up your B2B brand on TikTok. Let's talk about tangibles and advice. What are some of the things that you would recommend that your fellow humans do if they want to blow up on TikTok?
I think the absolute most important thing is to don't assume anything with that channel. There is a community and a niche for you absolutely anywhere. It's just a matter of having those people find you. And that nowadays really doesn't necessarily have to do much with just posting videos. It has to do a lot with what you are saying and what you are explaining and what your caption says and what your subtitles say. So your social media SEO, or SFO, I think is now kind of the new term, your social feed optimization. I've been hearing that a little bit
optimization,
around.
SFO.
Yeah, instead of search engine optimization. But we'll keep going with search engine optimization because that's really what's the big thing that's being spoken about.
And what I've found, it's almost like SEO from like 10, 15 years ago, where if you wanted to create a blog post, you just load it up with all the keywords that you wanted to find. Yeah. So your video is about something that your target audience are looking for. Then you've got the caption, which is a further description. Then you've got what are the titles on the
title? Yeah, your titles and your hashtags still, I think, play a big factor in them, in whether you're going to be found or not in terms of your videos. So from a B2B perspective, it's don't make the assumption that just because you are so incredibly niche that TikTok's just not for you. Even just using it purely as a networking resource, I think it's a really good spot to go, and really just learn, but also just put yourself out there to practice video creation as well.
Well, I'm just going to say, just as an action here, for those people that are thinking of getting involved on TikTok, I would probably be writing down who your target audience is, who do you want to be reaching, and then some topics and some themes, and then they can become your keywords, classic SEO style. They can become the keywords, the focus, the hashtags, the titles, and that's a really great.
Yeah, what I start with some clients is you start very basic. So start with obviously your one keyword or your two keywords that you want to be found for, and from there then start expanding into the how to blah blah blah, how to blah blah blah. But when you search on TikTok and you do those one or two keywords, not only can you can filter by top liked videos or most viewed, or even by time. When you are scrolling and seeing those results, you'll also see people have also searched for, and you'll see those keyword phrases that they search for that will relate to whatever product or service you provide. And those ones also are golden nuggets, because then you just start going down a rabbit hole and you can see different variations of how people have asked something or also asked something, or how differently they've asked, and you can rank essentially for those keywords.
And what's really interesting about this is we began by joking about, TikTok and how people don't take it seriously. Here we are, we're having a serious discussion about SEO or SFO for this brand. You also mentioned networking just a moment ago. Now, I know that Clem is a master when it comes to networking via social media, using social media as a networking tool. Something that a lot of people neglect. How does that fit in with what you do in your recommendations?
So what I tell my clients, or even my TikTok followers, and in a few different videos, I've always said it's not called a social media network for nothing. People might think of it as that's the technical term for it, but social means you actually have to interact with people. There is another person on that screen, like behind, looking at you. You just have to kind of figure out a way to appeal to them, that they do hit that like button or comment something on there. But it's also not, there's the word network on there as well. So you have to put yourself out there a little bit to get that interaction. So like, for example, even like say last night, for example, one of the last TikToks I put out was a video reply to a comment that someone put out saying, "I've tried your tip, it worked. thank you, something like that. I looked at her TikTok profile and I commented back to her saying, thanks a lot for that comment, etc. And we ended up getting chatting, and we are going to speak, I think, later on tonight about, is there a potential to work together, or getting some advice for a campaign that she's going to be running soon on something that's very, very niche. So
I'll give you another example. I was just watching somebody's videos once, and I thought, this person knows what they're talking about, very relatable. And I connected with that person and invited them to be on my podcast. And they are here right now.
Yeah, so it's not called a social media network for nothing. Like people seem to forget that. They seem to think that because it's digital, because you are not face to face, just slapping a post up or slapping a video, that's all you need to do. And it's in fact, it's just a digital form of that networking mixer that we used to go to, 5-6 years ago. You just happen to be able to do it in your pajamas or your tracky pants.
As an action, I just wrote the note, commit to having conversations, because a lot of people use it. But if you can spend 20, 25 minutes a day on all your various social media platforms having conversations, that's how business now gets done.
Yeah.
What else can we do to make better use of this platform?
One big thing that I see, practice makes perfect, and that's not just by showing your face on camera. It's also with your editing skills. Now, I like to think, my husband likes to play video games on his phone. I think I have the same skills, but when it comes to actually using the editing features in TikTok and CapCut, and
You're very nimble with your digits, don't you? Trying to slide those things around.
You're using your thumbs the exact same way. You're using your hand-eye coordination and your listening skills to be able to cut and shrink and and do those transitions. But it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen, and after 5 minutes, you start to get a feel for it the more you use those editing features within those apps. So definitely do some effort in trying to edit. And it just takes, practicing one little skill at a time and then building up on top of it.
So I'm going to put this into context for the absolute TikTok newbies, is that a lot of people don't realize that you can film within the app, you can edit within the app, you can create captions within the app, you can use a little transcription tool so that it can create words underneath within the app. You can add layers of video in the app. It's quite an extraordinary thing. I know that a lot of people, where do I start? I will record some videos in my office. I'll send them off to my video editor. My video editor will make them look pretty. And that might be the way that some people want to do it, but most of us are just shooting videos on our phone and then cutting them up within the app.
Yeah, there's more ways to skin a cat. So if you want to DIY, within the TikTok app itself, the editing features are really good. If you want to do those auto captions, TikTok's parent company ByteDance own the app CapCut, and it does it really, really well within auto.
I didn't know that
app. I personally actually seem to have a tendency of editing within the TikTok app and filming within it. I just find it to be a lot easier, and it's just so much more fluid. If I want to do it off app, I'll actually go and use CapCut. If I want to do auto captions, I'll use CapCut, especially if I'm going to use that video on, say, someplace like LinkedIn, where it's, you might actually, it seems a little bit more polished or a little better to have those auto captions show up as a subtitle.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the video.
I find myself, I end up shooting the video using the phone camera on my phone, and it gets saved. And then I upload that video into TikTok, and then that's how I do my editing.
That's another way that I would do it, especially if I'm on the go and I have suddenly like an idea that I just want to almost do like a video memo of. I will film it within my phone, and then hopefully remember to upload it onto TikTok to edit it.
And have a look later and go, look at those little videos of mine. Let's talk about frequency and quantity. Now, when you started out, how frequently were you publishing videos? And now, how often do you publish videos? And what would you recommend to new people?
So everybody's human, right? And there's this theory that the TikTok algorithm was built based on behavior of gambling addiction, right? I might go on to a long diatribe, but I think this is quite interesting to know. That way you can kind of, I guess, keep your TikTok addiction into check, right? When, from a creator perspective, you will publish a video, it gets a decent amount of views. You do another one, it goes up and down your views, and then suddenly you hit the jackpot and you go viral, according to whatever your definition of virality is.
Yeah.
You just really want to get that again. And so you keep going. And it's just like a pokey machine. You get a couple decent wins, and then you get that free feature or the jackpot, and you feel like you can get it again. That's exactly, I think, the way TikTok from a creator perspective is that you just want to keep getting that virality, because we love to know that we are being seen and people are liking our content. So when you are starting to do that and you start to see those virality and those waves, and you just want to keep going, you can very easily burn yourself out, because then you can start to get almost desperate to get those views and those likes. And so you just start to post and post and post and post and post, and you will burn yourself out, guaranteed. So it's not about, and TikTok has come out saying it is not about how frequent you post. It is about the content itself that you're putting out. They have come out publicly saying that, because so many gurus have gone and said, you need to post 3 or 4 times a day to blow up.
Yeah. Gary Vee said that.
Yeah. It's funny. I have a bone to pick with Gary Vee, because he said that a few years ago. It's like, it is all about the speed that you put content out. And now he's like, create content for your soul. It's like, right. Which one is it, man? Which one
is it? I'll tell you what I have noticed. And if there is an action or a tip, what I'm going to say is, I would say start by focusing on quantity before quality. And I say that because I just know that a lot of people in our world are trying to create these perfect videos. And we're talking about like a message in 59 seconds or less. It's so hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I learned to talk fast very quickly after seeing that, a minute goes by really, really quickly.
So fast.
So I think in the very beginning, practice does make perfect. And your videos are not going to be perfect. Your videos may never to you be perfect, because you are your own worst critic. But eventually, think of it as, it is not about the frequency that you post. It's about how frequent can you be to remain consistent.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. So it means, like, if you decide that you're going to do one every workday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
which is what I aim to do. Yeah, because
you could do that's my main structure, and that way I can do them all in one sitting, which is as much as I can do in my busy work week. I can do 5 in a sitting, but then what often happens is that during the week I'll be struck by inspiration or something like that, and I might add 1 or 2 to the mix. One formula, or I'd love to get your feedback on this, but this has worked out really well for me, is that I ended up with a rhythm. And if I do them all in one sitting, I would pick a theme for the week. So I'd look at my target audience and I'd go, what's the theme? And what I would do is I would bust a myth, then I'd give away a gift, then I'd tell a story about myself or a client, then I would reveal a tactic, and then I would actually have a call to action. And that's what I would try and do. Bust a myth, give a gift, tell a story, short tactic, and then a call to action.
Each one of them are separate videos?
Each one separate videos. Right.
Yep. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it just became a theme that I could follow during the week. So I'd go, for example, our target audience thinks that all they need is something. I can't think of what that is at the moment. We were talking about social media a little bit earlier, and you were saying, everybody goes, I need more leads. And then you say, how are you using social media? And they go, not very effectively.
Yeah, and they'll just go, it doesn't really work because we don't get direct ROI. And it's like, well, hang on a second. As we have just, discussed, social media it's not called a social media network for nothing. And it's when you hear, it just doesn't work. It's like, well, what have you been doing? I've just posted and you haven't responded to comments. You haven't reached out to anyone. You haven't actually networked. It's like, well,
so that becomes a myth
properly.
So social media is ineffective for getting leads. And then you could turn around and say, compare it to someone going to a networking event, spending, 2 hours getting sore ankles when they could have actually been having conversations on a social media app in their pajamas without even needing to schlep across town and burn half a tank of petrol. Yeah. So that there becomes the myth. And then the second day, it's like, pointers for getting social media faster. And then the Wednesday, it might be, here's a story about my mate Clem and how she picked up 5 clients overnight. And then Thursday, it would be, here's the smartest thing to do right now if you want to get this one thing done. And then Friday, I might say, hey, if you want more stuff like this, I've just created something. You can find the link in my bio, and that becomes the call to action.
Hey, James, I've got a question for you then.
Yes.
You've essentially then just created your own almost framework for these TikToks. You've created a set framework that you can easily go by to remain consistent. And that way you're not clutching at straws in terms of what you need to create.
I'm not beginning every week going, what am I going to put in my TikTok videos? I just go, and I usually have 6 themes that I just keep coming back to.
No, that's good. And that's a great way to keep consistency. Another way that you can do it is, what some people do is you're taking that one idea and you're showing it in different ways. So you can say that long explainer video and then taking those tips and saying those tips as one video, but then even having some background footage of you working and then putting the tip on top of it, linking to the longer video as well. So that way, if someone wants more information, it's available there and they can view more of your TikToks too. That's one way of creating that framework too. There's different ways of doing that, but a framework is an excellent way of creating that consistency. It's all about the groundwork beforehand before you hit record. Yeah.
And I think it's the habits too. So like when, if you take away the bit where you need to actually think and be creative, if you can get rid of that bit, everything becomes a whole lot easier. That's really good advice to doing it in different ways. I tend to do all my videos in the same way because then I just do them all in one hit.
Yeah.
But however, having like text over the screen are things that I should do and could do and will learn from that little piece of advice that Clem just gave us right here, right now.
Yeah, it's super quick, super easy. Something that you can do. You can even save music as well and just use the same audio file for your quick tips. And then that way it takes you maybe 5 minutes to actually edit the video versus 20 minutes of editing another video, that sort of thing. So sometimes that's what I'll do. If I know that I'm not going to have time during the week, I will make sure that I have a couple of those quick tips ready to go, with some background footage of me working, and that's it. My TikTok for the day.
Yeah, I felt really awkward the first time I did that. I set up my camera there and then I had to pretend I was working or something like that, and it felt a little bit awkward. And then for those that are not familiar with the app, you save them as a draft and then you can come back in later and publish them at peak times. Hey, by the way, peak times, do you find that there are different times that are indeed peak times that work for you to post?
Oh, I did a bit of an experiment, and TikTok analytics was telling me that my prime time is 6-7 o'clock Australian time, and
at night. In the morning.
At night, yeah, which is probably when quite a few
people are scrolling
on TikTok. But then I found actually 4 o'clock in the afternoon was better. Well, I'm assuming because people are on their afternoon commute.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I'm crossing time zones, and you probably are as well too.
Yeah.
But I actually found that 10 a.m. Australian time worked really well for me. And do you know why? Because it's about 7 or 8 p.m. on the east coast of the US and 4 in the afternoon on the west.
Yeah. But if we're thinking of how, going back to the first subject that we spoke about social feed optimization and SEO, then in the long run, kind of when you are posting might not necessarily be all too important, because your views are, you might notice if you've been posting quite for a long while, your view count is not going up super quickly. It's actually taking a delayed increase almost.
Yep.
So because that content or that topic that you're speaking of then has a lot more longevity, it might kind of in a way not necessarily matter what time you post. So just post it. Just do it.
There's that book from years ago. If we're talking about SEO, long tail. It's all these little long tail search terms, and you've done one video about email subject lines, but it just continues to generate those views as people are searching for TikToks on email subject lines. Hey, let's talk about some of the don't do's in the limited amount of time we have left. What are some of the dummy mistakes?
What the big one I think is, we kind of already spoke about it a little bit, and that is, don't feel like you need to be posting all the freaking time. Don't feel like you need to be posting 10 different videos a day in order to grow. Really just concentrate on what your expertise are, and you'll shine naturally that way. I always find with any client, they shine so well when they are talking about exactly what they know and what they love and what their expertise is, versus trying to do a trend or trying to post without purpose. So don't feel like you need to be constantly on in order to actually succeed. Set yourself a schedule if you have to.
I've got a good friend, Maureen, and Maureen reached out after I started to trend upwards on TikTok, and she was like, I've been doing it for months and I'm going nowhere. And all she was doing was trends. And it wasn't, what she was about. It looked artificial. She looked uncomfortable. It looked particularly inauthentic.
Yeah.
And I went, Maureen, just stare down the barrel of the camera. Yeah. And within about 3 weeks, she got a video that had 2 million views. Yeah. Which is something that I've never managed to achieve.
Yeah. Like, back to the social media networking type of thing. If you think about it, when you are filming yourself for, say, TikTok or, Instagram Reel or whatever short form content, you got to think that it's almost what people are going to see is your face on that entire screen. It is exactly like a FaceTime call or a WhatsApp video call.
Yeah.
Like this one, if we were on a phone.
It's also a little bit more intimate. Because the reality is there are very few situations where you're actually looking at someone direct on face to face. And those two situations are either when you're fighting or when you're doing another word that begins with F.
Yeah.
There are very few situations where you are in this position where you're like directly face to face. So it feels very, very intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't feel like you have to constantly do trends. Don't feel like you have to be constantly posting, but when you show yourself, you show up and you show your expertise, your community is going to find you. And that TikTok community there is incredibly strong once they find you and once you find those people that just will consume and consume and consume your content, like you and I do mutually. So it's just a matter of just holding out. The second thing I believe that a lot of people need to remember is, you don't have to be like everybody else. Just like your friend Maureen, you don't have to do all the trends. You don't have to be standing there and pointing and stuff, which is, is apparently still the trend to do on TikTok's rival app. But I don't want to sound really cliche, but it's just be yourself. But
it is.
If you are a service provider and you need to be showing that you know your stuff, the only way you're going to do that is if you are showing that you know your stuff and you're showing yourself and your personality as your personal professional brand.
Now, I've been taking notes. In fact, I've been putting together a little bit of a checklist of actions that have come from this particular conversation. And it's a really little cool checklist that I've got here. Are you ready? Okay. Number 1, start with SFO. Start with search. What's it? Search feed optimization.
Social feed optimization.
Search feed optimization. That's number 1. Number 2, commit to having conversations. So it's not just you posting videos and the like, it goes both ways. Number 3, I think I said this, but we both agree. I said quantity before quality, because I know that it took me about I was on it for about 3 months to get to about 500 followers. It took ages. It was grueling. And then I suddenly decided to commit to doing one a day. And the quality went way down. The quantity went way up. But suddenly I found my rhythm, found my groove. That's number 3. Number 4, what did I write down? So you said demonstrate expertise when you're creating these videos. You don't need to be doing all the dances and the twerking and the this and the that. I'm going to say add value. So if you're demonstrating your expertise and you're adding value, that's fantastic. Number 5, you said be yourself, be authentic. I've written down find your own format. Find your own format. So Maureen found her own format. She had one that she was uncomfortable. Me, I have my own style of format. I love your format, Clementine. Have you got a description? How do you describe your format? What would you describe it as? Fast and furious. Fun, fast and furious.
I was going to say shabby mom chic, but I guess, yeah, a little bit of fast and furious. I mean, I'm a mom, so I'm constantly multitasking in a way. So it's finding that time and whatnot. But yeah, I'm going to actually stick with shabby mom chic.
Shabby mom chic. Well, what I'm going to say is that anyone that's listening to this, I want you to go onto TikTok and find @Honeybee Social. And if you actually search for Small Business Marketing Pro, Clem's going to come up number 1 if you search for Small Business Marketing Pro or @Honeybee Social. And there is one video that's pinned, which begins with the words, I think, "Hi, I'm Clem," or something like that. Yep. And it's a masterclass in how to introduce yourself and your business to a cold audience and do so while sharing your personality and doing it with fun and flair and finesse.
And I did that video before my first coffee kicked in too. I think I did pretty good.
You did a great job. Tells your story. It's the whole bit. It's time to wind up. Any final words of advice or wisdom for people that want to blow up their B2B brands on TikTok? Maybe they're already using it. Maybe they're contemplating it. Any final words of advice?
Yeah, play the long game. It is a long game. Plain and simple. It is not a short and fast game. Digital marketing, I don't think ever really was. And TikTok is certainly no exception.
Love it. Play the long game. Thank you so much, Clem. This has been almost more fun than hanging out with you on TikTok. Actually, it's been more fun. Thank you.
Good. No worries. Thank you.